Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.
You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
This town needs an enema.
Riddle me this, riddle me that. Who's afraid of the big black bat?
When Gotham is ashes, you have my permission to die.
Gotham, this is your liberation.
My mother warned me about getting into cars with strange men.
This isn't a car.
20 years in Gotham. How many good guys are left? How many stayed that way? He has the power to wipe out the entire human race.
Tell me, do you plead? You will.
I want you to tell all your friends about me.
What are you?
He's a silent guardian, a watchful protector. In the dark night, I'm Batman.
Let the games begin.
Welcome to the Batman on Film podcast. Here is your host, Bill Jett Ramey, co-host Rick Shew, and the BOF Roundtablers, Justin Kowalski and Ryan Hoss.
Hey now, you are listening to episode Michael Irvin / Drew Pearson / Des Bryant, 88 of the Batman on Film podcast.
Des caught it.
Yes, he did. BOF is the sponsor, as well as a proud member of the Batman Podcast Network. Check out all the shows at batmanpodcastnetwork.com. I am the host of this here podcast, as well as the founder, editor-in-chief, and all-around guru of Batman on Film, Bill Jett Ramey. With me today are both of the great BOF Roundtablers, Ryan Hoss and Justin Kowalski. Justin, we missed you last week. How are you doing today?
I'm good. It was so early, and I wasn't in my brain. I wasn't prepared to do a show, but now I'm actually woke up. I'm like, I'm here.
Okay, good.
I'm good. Yeah, I was groggy, man. If my voice sounds super sexy, it's because it always is.
Yes.
Yes. Was that your excuses and your pitiful attempts to defend your hate for The Dark Knight Rises?
What? Wait, what?
Were you like foggy on those shows and didn't sleep?
Was I foggy? No. I was a well-oiled machine. I just ran out of track.
I got everybody beat.
I
kid.
I'm coming at you in the midst of a flipping hurricane. I have.
That's very true.
Harvey.
I got
Hurricane Harvey is right now. So Harvey bent. Hurricane. Yes, it was. It got power. That thing came in down in Corpus, which it's a ways down the coast from Houston, but it's so dadgum big. And we're on the. If you are I grew up, on the coast basically, so I know how these things are. I've been through a few. We're on the west side, which they call the dirty side. It's the worst side of the hurricane. So we're still getting tons of rain and wind. But the crazy thing is with this deal is that it's going up. It's down in Victoria now. It's heading up toward San Antonio. And then it's going to do a U-turn loop and head west to Houston. And it's going to go north just west of the city, which I live northwest of Houston. I always like to say it's the most southern suburb of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But anyway, I do live in the northwest part of the greater Houston area, and so we're supposed to get this through Thursday.
Wow.
I mean, it's like you look on the Weather Channel, and it's 100% rain. I mean, like rain, not just sprinkling rain or scattered showers, hard rain through Thursday. I think it finally drops to 80% Thursday and then 40% on Friday. So, I'm glad I'm in an area that doesn't tend to flood, but there's some areas in Houston that flood really bad. So I hope that everything is fine in this part of the great state of Texas. And anyway, Ryan, I got to say hello, Ryan. How are you, sir?
Yeah, hello. I'm good. I just do want to say this is episode 88, and we've reached 88 miles per hour, and I'm pretty confident on today's podcast that we're going to see some serious shit.
I like the Back to the Future reference.
I thought so.
Very awesome. All right, speaking of Texas, from the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is actually in West Plano is Rick Shew. Rick.
Hello.
Hello.
We're fine here in Dallas. I appreciate all the messages from everybody. North Texas is not the problem. In fact, it's actually a beautiful sort of cool day, but I don't like why we have it because...
Well, you got that front's come. That's the thing. That's what's holding this hurricane down here. Instead of letting it just get the hell out, is that this front came through, and that's why it's going to do that loop and go south and west again. So, did y'all have an earthquake in Dallas this week?
News to me.
I read it on the news, Errol, and I saw some people saying like, okay, earthquake in Dallas, hurricane on the coast, hell of a week for Texas. And you know what else is, Rick, you'll hate this. Franklin Barbecue burnt down overnight in Austin, dude.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No, that's like one of the spots to go to, for barbecue. They like maybe the spot to go to in Austin. Hopefully they get it back up and running by November when we're down there. That's the place I was telling you on another show. You have to get there like at the crack of dawn and get in line just to be served for, when they open up at 10:30, or I forget when they open their doors. But that was sad. It sucks. It sucks for Austin and Texas. So, anyway, since I'm in a hurricane and Rick's bragging about how great of a day it is in North Texas.
No.
Hey, at least it's not going to be 109 degrees on Tuesday. It's going to be terrible next week.
Really?
Terrible, yeah.
Oh, it's been hot.
Well, the heat is worse here, Justin. Just remember that.
No, I remember San Antonio. I remember San Antonio.
San Antonio's even worse because the humidity's worse.
I got San Antonio and Dallas beat on humidity on the coast. It's freaking, and none of y'all are out there for 2 hours a day running around coaching football. So yeah, it's been hot.
Keeps you lean, dude.
A little bit. It's been hot. All right. Batman on film, authoritative, definitive, the dadgum original. So lots to talk about this week. It's been, what a week, huh?
Hey, and before we get into the topics, because we have a lot to cover, I do want to just briefly address this 800-pound gorilla in the room. And as many of you may have seen, and I'm going to be really quick on this, but I think it's important to bring up. And I'm not going to mention anything by name or any person by name. But there was obviously an incident where I guess you could say that I and Batman on Film got into a little bit of a confrontation with another site. And unfortunately, two of the people that are involved in that site in some capacity were an integral part of Batman on Film at one point in time. And things got a little personal, and some of those guys got dragged in the middle of it, and we regret that. And we just want to kind of go on the record to say that to those two guys, we're sorry that happened in terms of them. And Batman on Film would not be what it is today if it wasn't for their contributions. And I can say that as a fan before I was even a part of this. And those guys are amazing. With that said, I don't regret or take back anything I said about the site or the person running it. That stands, and if it happens again, then I will also defend us again. And I just wanted to just get that on the record, and then we can just move on. Bill, you want to add anything to that?
Yes, I do think, and I will say who it is. Sean Gerber and Mark Hughes were with me a long time, and I appreciate everything they did for Batman on Film. And frankly, the reason why there's some butt hurtness on both sides is because we were friends, and so I'm not going to get into all that, but I want them to know if they're listening, and if you are listening, let them know that I did say thank you again and apologize to I should not have. I said what I said about that site. I should have left it at that, and I should not have answered anything in comments, and that's on Facebook or on Twitter, and that's where it came from. I should have just let it go. I should have took the higher road. But I do stand by what I wrote, just like Rick did. What happened with that site and the person who runs it with me 10 years ago, it happened exactly as I wrote and described. And I'm just not going to. I don't think I'll ever get past that. I just won't. But I have done a pretty good job over the years of just completely ignoring it, and have that person and that site not even exist to me personally. And I need to do that again. I just need to go back to that and ignore, and I will never mention it again. And that's where I'm at. And that's all I got on that.
That's all I got. And I want to also thank Sean Gerber for his contributions to this thing. I never was his replacement. He left, and that was between you guys. It had nothing to do with me. I just stepped in because we're friends. I'm passionate about Batman. I think that guy is extremely talented, and I wish him nothing but good fortune. And I also want to thank Mark Hughes for texting me. And I don't want to get into our personal exchange. That's our business. But you're a real friend, and thanks for us getting through this together, and we just want to move on. But we do stand by what we said about the site. Unfortunately, that does stand, and we'll just leave it there.
All right. Let's move on.
Let's move on.
All right. So, let's start off with the Batman and Matt Reeves. So,
what are you talking about? Was there news this week with Batman and Matt Reeves?
All sorts of news this week. Started off, about a month ago, I guess, he was doing press for War for the Planet of the Apes. Matt Reeves did a podcast interview, with, one second, and I'm pulling this up.
Kim Masters.
Yeah, Kim Masters, and it was KCRW, that podcast. Kim Masters also is the author, Ryan, of the Hollywood Reporter piece that dropped the Friday of Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, saying that Warner Brothers is looking for a way to ease out Ben Affleck's Batman, or maybe Ben Affleck as Batman.
Yes. And this podcast was conducted about 4 days before that article came out.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And here's what he said exactly. They started at the end. They began talking about the Batman, and it's really good stuff.
And this is not out of context. What you're about to say?
No, just not out of context. It is a straight up quote from him when he was asked by Kim Masters, why he took the job and how it came about. And he did talk about all the, he said before in other interviews that I go in and say, I want to do it this way. And if you guys are down for it, let's work together. If not, I'm not going to be upset, and everything's fine, and we'll just part ways. But, and go back and listen to that. It's a great interview. The Planet of the Apes stuff is good, and the Batman stuff is really interesting.
The Batman stuff, and he even compares, what he wants to do to the Nolan films. Like, there's not just this soundbite. There's a lot of really good information about his approach as a director.
I highly recommend you listening to it if you haven't. But he said, this is what he said. He said, well, I have a vision for a way to do something with that character, which is Batman, that feels like it resonates with me personally, and a perspective that can grow out into other things. So I'm going to take that as he's talking about more than one film, maybe a story, more or less. When Warner Brothers, approached me, what they said was, look, it's a standalone. It's not part of the extended universe. End quote. That's what he said. Yeah. And then she brought up, and you've never said it was going to be a trilogy either. And he said, and he agrees, that's right. So, that's pretty, well, I mean, look what he's saying here. It's you can take it a lot of ways. I even, after I wrote my story, I went back and I tweeted and I put it on there as a follow-up, and I said, to be fair, Mr. Reeves could mean that Batman is a standalone and will not reference Justice League or any other DC films, but technically be part of the DCEU. That was the same day as I posted it, and of course, you know what happened, Ryan. It was
exactly.
You suck and all this, and you're a liar, and I was like,
you're seeing it out of context, and
I said, again, these folks, they do not even read what I write or I say on this podcast, or what we say on this podcast, for that matter. So, Ryan, I know you're chopping at the bit a little bit of this. What did you take from this here?
I mean, when I heard that, the thing that made me, start listening to it was the fact that he used the specific terminology extended universe, because to all of us, we speak in terms of the DC extended universe, the DCEU. So for a director that's supposed to be directing the next Batman movie to say something about his movie and say that it's not part of the extended universe is pretty interesting to try to analyze. It's enough to report on, even if
and all the outlets that reported it, they just reported what he said. Now, Slash Film did a heck of a job. I thought they really broke it down. Okay, he could mean this, he could mean that, and so forth. But that's what he said.
Right.
I'll say it again.
Yeah.
When they approached me, what they said was, look, it's a standalone and it's not part of the extended universe.
Right.
So
you can take that either way, and it's worth clarifying too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you want to should I bring up what he said afterwards now?
Well, wait a minute. Let's talk a little. Let's talk a little bit more. I just want to say this before we
go
bring
ahead.
that up, and just in terms of the way certain people responded to that. And this is not coming to our defense, because we laid out what the man said verbatim, and then you even gave an alternative what it could mean.
Were we not the first outlet to report on this in this manner?
Yes,
I think we were.
So. And I'll say thanks to Dusty. I won't mention his last name. He may not want me to, but Dusty he's a Batman on Film fan spends a lot of time on the Facebook fan page. He's the one that brought it to my attention. And I was like, man, no one ever picked this up, So, yeah.
And I want to say this, if he's listening, I like that guy. And I'll tell you why I like him. He's a very loyal Batman on Film fan, but he is not afraid to scrap with us when he disagrees.
That's absolutely true.
At all. And I hope he knows I mean this when I say this. I respect the hell out of that.
But it's the good kind. It's not confrontational fanboy BS. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He loves BVS, and I love him for it. That's great. So, but anyway, moving on. I just want to shout out to Dusty on that. Thanks for you. You're a real loyal guy and an honest guy. But yeah, so many people were jumping all over all these sites, and
it was very similar to the way that the Casey Affleck comment was handled last week. Casey Affleck made a comment, people reacted and said, he obviously means this. People not saying that he meant something else are totally wrong and stupid and shouldn't be reporting it that way. And I thought that was stupid for people to say, and I think that this is stupid for people to say. Like, Reeves said this, we reported on it, and it's not a stretch to kind of try to speculate or analyze on it.
And
especially with everything that's going on. And
especially,
yes. Exactly.
And Jeremy Conrad at Manabyte, and I don't know this guy, I don't have anything against him, but he tweeted yesterday, since the Batman is part of the DCU, obviously all those sites will be correcting their clickbait headlines, right? And I just replied, said, clickbait for reporting what the man said verbatim?
Yeah.
That's not fair.
People don't know what clickbait is. That's the thing.
Right. Exactly.
Everything you disagree with is clickbait.
That's exactly right.
And that's where all the mentality has gone. And so I think there are people that go out there and post things that are clickbait. But if you post what the person said and you talk about that in your article, that's not clickbait. That's just a headline.
It's a headline.
If someone writes, hey, there's North Korea is shooting missiles into the water, that's not clickbait. Right. That's happening. That's what's going on. And
it's okay to analyze what someone says and give an opinion about what you think it might mean. Especially, look, guys, take into account all what's been going on with Ben Affleck and the Batman thing, going back from when he dropped out as director, then all the way up to the Casey Affleck stuff we talked about, last week. So,
and in addition to that, I knew this from the start. This is going to be a hard podcast to navigate because there has been so many stories and DCEU things that have happened this week, and all these stories are kind of connected and stuff the way they were reported. Yeah. But it is also worth mentioning that this Reeves story was posted and broke a couple of days after we learned that there may end up being a secondary label to the DC universe with the new Joker film. And
we're going to get to that.
That compared to, when you know that ahead of time, and then this comes out and he says, it's not part of the extended universe, it starts to make you try to connect the dots because there's a lot going on and nothing's really confirmed or not confirmed at this point, and it's just us trying to fit these pieces together.
Yes. Yeah.
Hey, John Campia, I think, had a perfect tweet for this, okay? He just put, glad Reeves clarified, but when he directly says it's not in the extended universe, any confusion is on him and not on the sides who believed him.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, exactly.
This whole thing was an exercise in sloppiness.
Yes.
It sounds like there's not there's no one out there telling, hey, here's what everybody, directors, actors, here's the thing. You're a part of these movies. It's a big deal. There's fans out there. We don't want a big, gigantic, storm of misinformation. Here's what you should say. If you're asked, here's what we're allowing you to say. Because when people, and here's the thing, it's not Matt Reeves' fault. It's none of these people's fault. It's just all the information's out there.
He was just speaking honestly.
Yeah.
He was just speaking honestly. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Yeah. The part of it is, though, like, when you say it's not part of the DCEU, he's speaking honestly, but like, we don't know what he meant. Like, I could read it and go, yeah, he basically said it's not part of DCEU, but then I can go, well,
there's no other context to add or take away from what he said either.
Did he mean it's not what he said? Just not connected, or does it mean Superman's not showing up, or does it mean that Superman doesn't exist? That's the question.
Let's bring up his I don't want to call it a rebuttal, but his tweets of clarification. Is that a good way to to describe it? All right. Let me see here.
Well, I've got lots to say about this. I can't wait.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I know that, and I hate to jump in here too, but this is a bad week for this. This might be better to talk about this after all the news stories, but like I said, there's a lot of the way a lot of this was reported this week is partly on the outlets, but I think it's more of something that Warner Brothers needs to try to handle, but we can talk about that.
Well, let me say this before I mention his comments. Here's the deal. And speaking of Warner Brothers and the way they handle it, they're not going to say anything that's going to that could affect Justice League. Mm-hmm. They're not. I'm of the belief, and based on everything I heard, and I will say I can't 100% confirm it, but by gosh, I can about 99% confirm it because I've been talking about this DCEU 2.0. They're going to be, yes, quote unquote, standalone, a lot of standalone films that will not reference Justice League, will not reference other films, will not set up team up films in the future. Aquaman will be the first one. Yes, Jason Momoa played Aquaman in Justice League, had a cameo in Batman v Superman, but when you get to Aquaman the movie, his solo movie, if you want it to be part of an extended universe, that's fine. If you don't want it to be, it doesn't have to be that either. And the same goes for Wonder Woman 2.
And the Batman.
And very likely the Batman, yes. So,
and that's also something that, we kind of saw James Wan possibly kind of rooting for when he got the job too.
Yes. And probably Matt Reeves as well, to be honest. I mean,
he stepped, and they even talked about that in his interview.
Yeah.
Where they said, Kim Masters asked him if that he stepped away from the negotiations for a bit, and he said, yeah, and here's why, and he goes into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Bill, what's the quote of his tweet on his rebuttal?
Here we go. All right. There's three of them. All right. The first tweet. Geez, what I missed, guys? Just to be clear, of course Batman will be part of the DC universe. Batman will be Batman. Okay. You want to just take them one at a time?
No. Go ahead.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I'm sorry. That's my vote.
All right. Tweet two.
Just read them all.
In my comments from a while back about not being part of the DCEU, I was talking about the Batman being a story specifically about Batman. And this is continuing to the third tweet. Not about the others in the universe. that it wouldn't be filled with cameos servicing other stories, that it would be a Batman story. First of all, I say amen to all that.
Yeah, we've said that for a long time.
Yeah,
That's what we.
I don't care if it's technically part of the DCEU. He is going to make a Batman film. He's not going to worry about setting up other DC films, with cameos and winks and nods and this and that. And, sure as hell, Superman's not going to fly by, or Clark Kent's going to show up doing some kind of investigative journalism. You're not going to have this. You're not going to have it in Aquaman. You're not going to have it in Wonder Woman 2.
And let's pause right there for a second. So,
all right.
Okay, because this is important. So basically, if you're saying, just like Matt Reeves said, that, yeah, it'll be part of the DCU, but not have any of the extended DCU stuff in it.
He didn't say it was not going to be part of the DCEU.
No.
All right.
If it's going to be, hold on. Yeah, that's what I just said. If it's going to be a part of the DCU, and if I misspoke, I'm sorry, but it's not going to have the DCU stuff. What does that mean? What exactly? How do you say
that means? It's in the Batman sector, and it doesn't have Batman characters. It's a Batman comic, and the Justice League comic is its own thing, but they're still the same.
But what makes it the same universe? Some crossover actors, right? Right. You're going to have Gordon. You're going to have Alfred. You'll have
the aesthetic to a degree.
The aesthetic, right? And we've talked about this before. It could be a lot of the same ways that Batman Forever to the Tim Burton films were technically part of the same universe, but really not. But things were referenced. A lot of the same actors were in those films. Michael Goff, for instance, whatever.
Well, yeah.
But here's my point, and this is the thing that I try to capture. And on both sides of this debate in terms of on Twitter, is that to me, this is like semantics. Okay, so it's part of the DCEU in spirit, but it's not because there's not cameos, there's not references. And that is a big deal. And if you're a DCEU, I don't want to say apologist, because that's negative, a defender, right? And rightfully so, if you are. But if you are, and you're saying, oh, see, but to me, that would be almost like, well, doesn't that concern you a little bit? Because if the studio had confidence in this platform, and in, for that matter, Justice League, there's no way they would take that off the table. There's no way. These characters...
And they are. They're taking it off the table, Rick.
They're taking it off the table. Matt Reeves basically has said so. Okay?
Well, look at the success of Wonder Woman 2. I mean, that's going to make him a little bit more confident to let them do that kind of stuff. Because if you take off the bookends, that's a standalone movie. That doesn't affect anything.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But here's the thing: all these movies, and so I'll speak for the I'm the DCEU defender. There we go. Call me DD.
No, you're not one of them.
I know.
You're not one of them.
No, I get it. But to speak counterpoint to it, the way I read it is like it doesn't concern me because I'm like I'm all for that. Like Batman doesn't have to like say, oh, I need to go talk to Flash about all this. That doesn't need to happen in the movie. I can watch it and go, I know that at one point in the past he did this, and possibly in the future he could do something else.
Yes.
All this is saying is Matt gets to control the story that he's working on.
Isn't it kind of a...
But if they don't reference it at all, then what makes it tied to it? It's the actors, right? So let me ask you this. So if Affleck doesn't return and it's a new actor playing Batman, but you have some crossover people and an overall different aesthetic because it's not going to look like a Snyder film, then you basically have Batman Forever to Tim Burton's films. Sure. That's essentially what you have.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean it doesn't connect to the overall tapestry of the universe.
That means they can't pull WB can't pull a X-Men and do whatever the crap they want, and they can just say it connects.
I think that
if the studios had, and I'm sorry, I'll just ask you a direct question here. If the studios had confidence in this platform, they had confidence in Justice League, would they be having these kind of conversations? Would a film like Matt Reeves is describing for Batman be the next Batman movie, them knowing that Justice League was going to be this smashing hit?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't answer that.
I think
because
I'm just saying it. We don't even know.
Marvel would never do that.
Well, yeah. I think the new standalone Joker movie speaks a little bit more towards that point, Rick.
Yeah.
Okay. I interrupted Justin initially, so go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say, with Justice League, we don't know. I mean, it could tank in the ocean, and then this movie still happens. This movie's happening regardless. Now, if it does, if Justice League does gangbusters, then Batman is still going to take place the way it took place, because I think they want to honor a director like Matt Reeves. Now, everything else that Justice League may just only dictate things like the Cyborg movie. What do we do with Flash and things like that? I think Batman is going to be his own thing, kind of like what we've been saying, but it's over, one day, if and when, big if, little when, they do Justice League 2, I still think in my brain, well, they'd still have Batman be a part of that. They may have to talk to Reeves about it, and who knows? I mean, I could be completely wrong. Go back and listen to episode 88 and go, he was wrong right there. But that's where I think that means Batman gets to do his own thing in his movie, and when they want to use him in a team up deal, then they can bring him in. If that's going to happen, who knows? Isn't
that a win-win for your fandom, Justin?
Yeah.
And for people like me who would rather not have interconnected films and so forth. I mean,
because but the same thing. It's also great for. I think it's great for the character. The thing that James Wan's doing, it's good. Everybody got introduced to this concept of Aquaman. Then he gets to go do his own thing, and Atlantis doesn't get bogged down with Gotham City stuff. You don't need to have that stuff.
I think that, and I've always believed. I think that shared universes can be creatively stifling, and when you're, I've enjoyed all of the Marvel films, but the interconnectedness and the constant playing to what's coming into future films.
The next film, yeah. How many times we've seen Thanos?
And you know what? Honestly, this approach, this DCEU 2.0 is kind of, you're not doing it like Marvel, and you're doing something that's, can be considered a little bit fresh. You're not shoving a shared universe down people's throats. And one more thing, and the only people this would affect, it's not affecting Justin and the way he wants, his view of this DC films and this cinematic universe. It doesn't affect me, who wouldn't want one. It affects these apologists or defenders. Rick, is that what you call them? The DCU defenders?
Yeah, because there's some people just genuinely defending it because they love it. Yes. Those people have a legitimate voice.
Well, yeah.
There's people that just want it to happen.
The people who are a little bit
people.
Who am I talking? I mean, the fanboys. Okay,
there it is.
The ones who are raging out, F you were wrong, all this stuff. Look.
The people with Zack Snyder as God, profile pics.
Yeah, and yes, stuff like that. Call him daddy and all this other weird and just frankly disturbing stuff. But anyway, that's a whole other topic. They are taking this as, Superman's going to show up in the Batman, and there's going to be all this interconnected. It's not going to be that. So they're almost setting themselves up for some sort of disappointment because they are moving away from that. This is what they want and expect, and it's not happening. Okay, It's not happening. So that's all I got really on that. But anything else we want to, just finish up here with the Reeves thing?
Yeah, I one of the things that I hope that Warner Brothers learns from this, though, because this was a big giant cluster. In the end, you're like, they just need to have a better way of releasing information. I sent you guys that article yesterday that was talking about how Marvel deals with leaks and everything. They handle it with such finesse that once they say something officially, it's kind of like, oh, okay, cool. Warner Brothers doesn't have that yet.
Yeah,
and
they need to control it. It only gets fixed from inside Warner Brothers.
Yeah. So there you go. So they just need to be able to clearly answer questions. There's things they can't, but there's some things they can answer at this point in time and say
they're protecting Justice League. That's the bottom line right now.
And they have to.
They are doing everything they can to protect that film because they're worried about it. I mean, if they weren't worried about it, we wouldn't have had 3 months of reshoots, a new director, a new editor, and a new composer. And also it ends. It ends. When it ends, it ends. It's not. There's no setup for Justice League 2. There's no, there's nothing. I mean, it ends like a movie ends. Now, could there be a Justice League 2? Yeah, absolutely. But there's no nods to it. They're not alluding to it. Nothing. It ends. So, period. Ryan, there's one thing about Reeves' comments that is kind of like an elephant in the room a little bit, but I think it's worth mentioning,
Yeah, he doesn't mention Ben Affleck in those tweets, and
he's never mentioned Ben Affleck.
Other than, there was that one interview where they asked him if Ben Affleck was his Batman. And he said, yeah, right now that's exactly what's going on.
Actually, he said this. Yeah. Right now, that's what's going on. That's what he said.
Right now, that's exactly what's going on.
He said, right now, that's the plan.
Right
now.
Yeah.
So, and that's because he was asked. So, yeah. He didn't bring up Ben Affleck.
Yeah. Right.
And even then, he didn't say definitively.
Right. I mean, what he's saying is true on one hand. I'm sure. And this is my speculation. It's true on one hand. It's PR on the other hand. It's all that he can really say right now. Just like any of the Affleck stuff doesn't definitively say anything. All the Affleck stuff is, I'll be Batman as long as Warner Brothers wants me to be Batman. It's the same. That's the same level of information dispelling that we're getting at the moment. It's addressing it, but it's not ultra definitive, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. It does. And real quick, let's go around real quick, and we're gonna move on to this Joker origin nonsense. Rick, where you at with Affleck coming back? What's your percentage or whatever, ratio, whatever?
I always want to leave this open because it's Hollywood, and he could very well end up doing it. And I'll say it for the 9 millionth time. If he does, I'll throw a party. I like him as Batman a lot. I'm getting less and less confident that he's coming back for this thing, man. I mean, I don't know where it's at now. 80-20. It does change every week because things are changing around it every week. And when you have situations like this, and you have Matt Reeves when he goes on this thing to defend what he said and to kind of set the record straight. Well, a big part of that rumor, like you guys just talked about, is whether or not Affleck's coming back. That's part two. That's the other side of that coin. He didn't address it, and there's something very telling about that. And it's just my gut too. And I don't know, man. I don't think he's coming back.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been super easy to have another tweet that's like, I can't wait to get ready to start on this movie with Ben Affleck, if he could or wanted to.
Where you at, Ryan?
Or Affleck share it and say something like whatever. I don't know.
See, that would, exactly. And they're just not in a place to do that.
Hey, and he might. And if he does, if somebody says, "Oh, Rick, I told you, I got you," there's no gotcha because I'm leaving that as an option. He very well might. I say this time and time again. I gamble, right? My money's on that he's not.
My opinion on
but I've also lost bets. So we'll see.
Well,
where you at, Ron?
My opinion on this specific thing is the same as any of the news pieces that have happened this week. They are all a snapshot in time. All this stuff is happening, and it's got so many moving parts that nobody can say this is exactly what's happening or this is exactly what's not happening. We can't say anything about anything really.
But what do you think will happen? What do you think? It's opinion.
What do I don't know. I mean, it changes every week.
Yeah, you do.
I don't know.
You do. What do you think? What do you think?
I think if
based on everything you've heard,
just answer the question, yes or no.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like if they can't answer the question, why can I answer the question?
They probably could answer the question.
Oh, hold on. I've got a part 2 to this, so I don't want to blow that. So go ahead.
Okay. Oh my God. I don't know. I really can't tell you because 80-20, I don't know.
50-50?
50.
Oh my God.
It's literally 50-50 because it changes so much.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
50-50.
All right.
I don't want you at my blackjack table or my poker table, by the way.
I've never
but I still love you.
All right. Justin, what do you think will ultimately happen? What do you think?
Oh, I'm going to put it right there on the table. I don't think he's coming back.
Okay.
Here's where I'm at. No percentages. If you had to ask me right now, like, hey, bet your family's like future on this.
Yeah.
He's not coming back.
Okay.
And I say that as
a huge fan.
I want him to. It makes me upset because I really I want him to do more. And Yeah,
and you're the BVS fan on this panel too.
Yeah, I mean, it's to a point. I mean, there's 70% of it I like, and then there's the 30% I'm like,
I'm with you 100%, exactly the way you said it. And so no one can say, call me an asshole and all this and that. I'll say it again. I say it in every article that most fanboys never read when they tweet to me and rage against the machine. I want him to come back. I've wanted Ben Affleck to be Batman since the late 90s when he was a young guy, and I thought he could do year one when that was in the mix back in 97, 98. I wanted him to direct after Chris Nolan. Now that's over with, and I was bummed out when that happened, even though I said before it actually happened that, I don't think he's going to direct this film, and it sucks. Well, just because I said that doesn't mean I didn't want him not to direct it. You know what I mean? I want him to return.
News is news.
I want him to return. I hope he returns. I'll get a conga line going here in Tomball, Texas. Rick will drive down and help me organize it, and if he returns, and I will be as happy as anybody can be. I don't think he's coming back.
Okay, let me ask the part 2 question. This is just a real simple yes or no. I'm going to start with Ryan. Okay. Does the studio, Affleck, and Matt Reeves know right now today the answer to that question if he's returning?
They absolutely do.
Okay. Bill?
Yes.
Justin?
Yeah, I think they know. That's why they're so coy.
Well, they could be coy because they don't know when they're on the fence, too. So to be fair, I'm saying
you can't say. Here's my point to that.
Okay,
you can't say that many coy. You can't say that many coy things without one of them contradicting the other, and they're all equal. Well, and they have, but they're all equally coy. Like nothing's definitive.
But they're all equally coy, but also because they're protecting Justice League. But
right.
It'd also be he's on the right now. We know that
if he was, they would just say it.
Here's what's not definitive is that he's coming back.
Hold on.
What's up in the air is that he might or he's not. That's it.
Okay, hold on. I said it in another podcast. It's not in his hands. It's not in Ben Affleck's hands whether he returns or not. It's in Warner Brothers' hands and it's in Matt Reeves' hands, and they know the answer. I believe it 100%. Rick, you answer that question. You answer your own question now. Is he? Come on.
Do they know if he?
Do they know? Do they know? Yes.
Yes.
Right now.
At this point, they're not vacillating about that decision.
Okay. All right.
And that decision could be yes, but it's probably not.
Okay. All right. Jesus.
I know.
All right.
Well, I mean, we have to hammer it because we're going to get.
No, we're not.
No matter what we say.
Nobody listens to this podcast, Rick.
Yeah, exactly.
No, Justin's going to take this soundbite and he's going to loop it like Batman did in Batman Returns. When he was doing
it could be yes. It could be yes.
when he had the CD and he was doing
Stinking City.
The Stinking City.
And we all again. There's not a person on this podcast right here that doesn't want Ben Affleck to come back as Batman. Nobody. Not one. Not any of us four. So I don't want to hear any of that nonsense, but I will because people don't listen and they just read and they just rage again and they F you and
all right. Let's move on.
Blah, blah, blah.
Let's move on.
All right. So let's talk about.
I don't want to hear what they say to you. We got a piece of that.
Oh, I can have a whole. show of that.
It was disturbing.
Yes.
Let's move on.
Yes. Okay. Apparently, yes. I have people who are necrophiliacs.
Yeah. Move on. That's exactly what I wanted to avoid.
Okay. All right.
Cut that out.
Oh my God,
Ryan! You know that every time you say in our shows, "Cut that out," it ends up in the show.
I know.
Cut that out.
I know. It's an in joke, I guess.
Okay. All right. So here's something that was confusing, and I don't know how I feel about part of this. I think the thing that was announced, I know how I feel about it. Now, this other part, I think could be kind of cool. But apparently there is a Joker Harley Quinn movie in the works. Gotham City Sirens is gone.
Or is it?
It's probably...
Yeah.
come on. It's gone.
There's this is part of my spiel here, but yeah.
Yeah, there's been some conjecture that this has became that, but whatever. But the bottom line is, what David Ayer planned to be Gotham City Sirens ain't this. So it ain't this. The Hollywood Reporter had reported that there will be a Joker Harley Quinn movie. It's in the works. It will be written, directed by the folks behind Crazy Stupid Love. I believe that is Glenn Ficarra and John Requa. Hope I'm saying that correctly. If I'm not, I apologize. Jared Leto and Margot Robbie are expected to return as Joker and Harvey, respectively. And the trade described it as a criminal love story. Now here's the thing. Now that part. Okay, never mind. Here's the thing. I got this. See, this is how confused I am. I was thinking about the other damn thing with the Joker. We're going to get to in a second.
Yeah, which is the first story this week.
Yeah. I have no problem with a Joker Harley film, I guess. But okay, let's just talk about this because I'm confused. I understand why people are confused. That's how I felt. Exactly.
How many? We've got 2 Joker films announced this week.
Yeah, that's the point. It's got me confused. Okay, so all right. So what about this, Rick? Joker Harley Quinn film with Jared Leto, Margot Robbie. Is that a good idea? You down with that? Is that okay? Whatever.
I loved both of them in Suicide Squad. There's the cast of Suicide Squad was stellar. They were part of the stellarness, and so yeah, I would be down for that. I want to see them have their day in court because they were both wasted in a film that was a mess.
Okay, I agree. So I'm not even going to waste any much time. I concur with you. I'm with you. All right, Justin, what's your take, dude?
Yeah, taking all the confusion out of it, I'm all for it. I'm excited about it, and I would like to see Leto's Joker do more, and hope having a film with him and Harley Quinn. Dude, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. That was
she was
said,
great.
Rick.
Yeah.
The casting on these things is top notch.
Yeah.
Minus Lex Luthor.
That's what made me. That's what made me enjoy the movie the first time I saw it and give it a positive review because I thought that the cast was fantastic.
Dude, that scene with Will Smith in the apartment with his daughter at the end is that's a great scene.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of great scenes in that movie. Great scenes. Bad movie, great scenes.
Yeah. So Ryan, you're what you on board with this here?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed both the casting and the portrayals of both Harley Quinn and Jared Leto's Joker in Suicide Squad. I mean, they were definitely, although that movie is a little messy in terms of story and everything, they're the highlight of that movie for me. And if Sirens may or may not be going on, it would still make logical sense for a Joker Harley movie to happen next because that's how you would get to Sirens if it happened. Because the way the Suicide Squad ends with the Joker breaking Harley out, you can have a Bonnie and Clyde type of movie or a Mr. and Mrs. Smith type of movie with those 2 characters. And what I would like to do is like, it needs to do a good job of portraying that relationship. They went an interesting direction in Suicide Squad where they basically had them like really in love with each other, which is not how we've seen that relationship portrayed before. I know the original script for Suicide Squad was a lot more contentious and stuff, and that's a lot of this kind of stuff they cut out. So that's what they're going to have to be careful with, is how they handle that and make it feel true to the characters and all the kind of things that could come up with it. But it's cool. I mean, Harley Quinn is a huge asset. I mean, they've even said she's another pillar of DC, behind it's Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Harley Quinn because of how
Oh my God. They said that?
Yeah, I've heard Johns or somebody said that.
I can see in the marketing and
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's a good, what I don't like, and I know we'll get into this, is that, if there's another standalone Joker movie that isn't connected to anything, it kind of...
Yeah, that's coming. All right. It's coming.
But yeah,
all right.
One thing
go ahead.
I do kind of think it's interesting because a few months ago, back on July 21st, Screen Rant reported this, that Warner Brothers was developing a Harley Quinn versus the Joker spinoff, and nobody else reported it. And I think we even mentioned it, and we're like, that's BS. That's not going to happen. And here we are, and it's happening. Yeah. I just thought that was interesting. That was reported a few months ago.
Now, here's the thing that it's gotten me confused, and the thing that I have two opinions on, and we'll discuss. There's a Joker origin film in the works. It will be that just no. It's Martin Scorsese is set to produce. Todd Phillips will also co-produce. He's going to co-write the script with Scott Silver, who is the scribe behind 8 Mile, which was Eminem's movie. That's a good daggum movie, really. 8 Mile. And I guess Phillips is going to direct. So it is supposed to be. And here was the piece from the trade when they reported it. It was Deadline. This is from Deadline, actually. The intention is to make a gritty and grounded, hard-boiled crime film set in the early 80s Gotham City that isn't meant to feel like a DC movie as much of one of Scorsese's films from that era, like Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, or The King of Comedy. Okay, that's one part. I don't want to see a Joker origin film. I don't want to see it. I think the character is awesome when he is a mystery. We don't know where he came from, how he came, has multiple origins, to take a nod from the Killing Joke, has that, and you saw that in The Dark Knight as well, because you want to know how he got these scars story kept changing. That was a straight up nod to The Killing Joke, because Jonathan Nolan told me that when I asked him. So I don't want to see that. I mean, do you make it a crime drama and it's about the guy that will become the Joker the whole time? He never becomes the Joker. I mean, what's I don't know what the hell they're going for here, Justin, go ahead.
Weird. Yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing. I agree with you. I don't want to see a Joker origin story. The first thing though, let me step back a couple of more feet. The idea of the creative team behind it, especially like Martin Scorsese, he's going to produce it. Man, I'm interested.
Yeah.
But the idea of the Joker's origin story, him doing crime in the streets, before whatever, that's weird. Then it's also, to me, is Batman going to be a part of that? Because Batman's usually in these things a part of his creation in some way or another. So there's that. Then one of the things that they said there, I don't know if this was, I'm not going verbatim, but it doesn't feel like a Joker movie. It feels like a Martin Scorsese movie. Then why even do it? Then why even put Joker? Yeah. Just tell a crime story. And then in the midst of everything else this week, it's just weird. It's just a weird timing to release that out there. So,
and here's the weird thing. It's the weird thing is this part, I don't know what to think. Well, I do. It could be interesting. It's not part of the DCEU. It's there are, what is it, Ryan? How did they word it? They were going, okay.
It says that the Hollywood Reporter version of this story says it's intended to be a part of a still developing label for Warner's DC Entertainment properties that will include projects that could stand apart from the big massive tentpoles that are tied to each other in a shared universe way. So, and I think the Deadline article maybe also mentions that they could also be put in a different non-tentpole budget category also. So they wouldn't be huge budget. It says
it will be the first of a new series of live-action DC films under a new unnamed banner in which Warner Brothers can expand the canon of DC properties and create unique storylines with different actors playing the iconic characters.
That's just weird. That's just brand confusion to me.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what I think about it. I know I don't want to see a Joker origin film, but I don't know what I think about. I don't know what I think about it. I mean,
it could be an amazing movie. It's just
I don't know. I mean,
a weird plan is all.
I don't need the films connected, but I don't really want to see like, okay, here's Jared Leto's Joker, and then here's this at the same time. Here's a Joker that completely has nothing to do with Jared Leto or any of that, but it's a joke. That I don't want to see. If you want to just make DC films and they're their own thing, fine, but having them competing characters with different actors, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we're seeing that on TV versus film right now, and it's
and I don't think it's not like on film though. I don't.
Yeah, it's a different thing.
Yeah. No, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of weird enough as it is with 2 Flashes and what have you. Really, even 2 Superman.
And it's a weird thing because that is something that the Warner Brothers used to be very against. They didn't want Ra's al Ghul, Two-Face, or the Scarecrow in the Batman cartoon in 2005 because they didn't want people to be confused for the Nolan movies.
When I was Superman at Six Flags, I kid you not, it was in my contract. I could not do a meet and greet with the kids. This was in 1997 and 1998 because of Dean Cain's Superman. Because I didn't want 2 faces. I'm at San Antonio, Texas, playing Superman in a stunt show, and I can't be Superman to these kids up close because they don't want to confuse with Dean Cain. It was actually in the language. I think back on that going, how crazy is that? And
that was just because you're always drunk, Rick. They just wanted to keep.
I was.
The Superman 3 version.
The Superman smells.
Flicking.
They were like that.
Flicking peanuts and breaking bottles.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh! And that little kid's name was what?
Rick Shew.
Well, it was Ricky.
Was it Ricky? No.
His name was Ricky. Remember?
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I just had an epiphany. I got a little too excited there. Sorry.
I don't. And I've argued with people about. Look, people going, they're going to be confused about the Flash, and I went, no, they're not, because 95% of the people who go see Justice League at the theater will have never watched the Flash TV show, and the people who do, like me, and I know, Justin, all those, all that stuff, and the Supergirl and everything, they know enough to know the difference where it doesn't bother. They're used to multiverse and different versions of characters and stuff, and there's no Joe Blow off the street going Justice League and saying, is this the Flash from the TV show? Because now I'm really confused. No, they don't even watch the Flash TV show. That's a niche show. It is. I mean, let's call it what it is. It's. I love the Flash. I still watch it, but it is a niche show.
It's on the CW. I mean,
it's on the CW, and it's made up, and its audience is probably a lot of comic book fans and people who are aware of that kind of stuff. So, I don't. Anybody have any really strong take for or against this alternative? brand?
I'm not. Ryan does. Yeah, I'm kind of indifferent. I'm like, it doesn't make sense, but it could produce a cool movie. I just feel like, again,
I'm just like,
it's weird.
Why have another brand? Just make DC movies and don't worry about freaking continuity and connect them together. Just make a good movie. That's where I'm at. I don't think you need another brand.
What if they do like a really cool Dead Man movie?
That's what I was going to say, because that's exactly what jumped into my mind when they said lower budget. I was like, that would be like either The Question or Dead Man, because you would just have him possessing people, and it could be really gritty noir kind of movie. Yeah,
but
Fate.
Let's say people love. Oh man, Dead Man, that was amazing. He's the next Deadpool, right? People loved it. It was great. And then they're like, you know what?
Darn it, he's not part of the extended universe.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, man, we really want to do Justice League Dark. We have a great script now, and we want Dead Man to be in that. But we're going to cast this other guy now as Dead Man because that one's a different. It kind of goes like when you have the extended universe. There's pros and then there's cons. I feel like you're saying, Bill, not everything has to connect. But down the line, you might go, oh, what would be kind of cool though. I don't know if this is a good example. In the late 80s, if for some reason, let's say all the stars aligned, and they're like, we're going to do Michael Keaton Batman and Christopher Reeve Superman. They're going to team up. That would have been okay. I mean, it probably a bad example, but I think people would lose their minds and be like, that's amazing. And they could have done it because there was nothing out there. There wasn't a competing version of the character out there, in everyone's head. Oh yeah, that's Superman and that's Batman. Let's put them together type of deal. Yeah, again, it's not the best example, but I'm thinking if you keep everything separate now, then you can't build off, and that's what it's like they want to do both. They want to build a universe, but then they're like, well, then we don't want to build a universe. Like we also want to do these one-offs.
Then just make the films. Just make them. Just don't make them. Don't label them this or that. Make them, and if you want to do Dead Man and then have Justice League Dark with that same Dead Man, then do it. Just
I just don't think you can do what you do in comics as you can do in film. You just can't.
Yeah,
it's just a different medium.
And that's a different thing. People think you can do the exact same thing. All right, let's.
But it's kind of like Batman retiring for 8 years. I'm kidding, I kid.
Oh God, shut the hell up. All right. So.
Well, I actually haven't said my opinion on this film. I'll just say
okay.
It.
Go.
I'll say it like this. To me, and I'm gonna get my Star Wars nod in. To me, this is the Han Solo spinoff. This is the Han Solo spinoff movie. I don't need it. I don't want it. I didn't ask for it. I don't really care. Will I go see it? Will I support it? Yes. Will I concede it's great if it is? Of course. And that's all I can say about it. But I do think it's weird.
Okay. Well, unlike Han Solo, that's still part of the Star Wars universe. It's not like this, like a separate Star Wars,
No, I understand. That's obviously a big distinction. I'm just talking about in terms of just how I feel about it.
All right. We're going to wrap this up. Ryan, you have a strong take on this. Go.
Okay. So I like the idea of a separate brand that just does cool stuff with cool directors and whatever budget. But I hate the idea of launching this with the Joker, and I hate the idea of a Joker origin story. It just doesn't make sense. It dilutes the brand to have multiple actors play the Joker on film at the same time.
Yeah.
And it just that part of it just doesn't make sense. And if you're excited about Scorsese producing it, the THR article even says that they couldn't confirm that, and they say that his involvement in it is far from assured. So it's one of those things where I'm like, why are we? I wish we weren't even hearing about this kind of stuff until it's more ready. Like, stop putting this out there.
And yes, they wanted it out there. That's why it was posted in a trade. That's just I know people are going, why don't they make an official announcement? They kind of are, guys. Do you understand the purpose of trade? Some people just don't get it. They don't. Whatever, I'm not going to get off.
I mean, the only thing, because I thought about this, I'm like, what would make this work for me? And the only thing that even sounded good was, if you go with the idea of Joker having multiple origins, do that. Do one film where you've got 3 different Jokers, 3 different directors, 3 different takes, and they're all the same, and they're all different Joker origins. That I would like that. I would watch that, but that's not what this is. And just, on the funny side, to make a joke about this, the Joker in The Dark Knight says, I don't want to go back to ripping off mob dealers, so he doesn't even want to see his own origin. And haven't we already seen a Joker origin film set in the 80s? Anyone?
Yes, we have. Yes, it's called Batman 89.
Exactly.
Yes. All right. So, let's plug some stuff. Does anybody have any other last call for any hot takes on any of these 4 topics?
I was just going to comment on the way some of this was reported this week, because it was insane.
I think that's important to talk about.
I think it is too. So I'll say my piece first. You guys can talk about it too. So the Reeves podcast interview that we talked about, in the THR article about this, just to show you how connected this stuff is, in the THR article about the Harley Joker movie, for a brief moment, that article mentioned that Affleck was not going to be in the movie, or it said that the Batman was not going to be part of the DCEU. And then that was taken down after about 40 minutes. But tons of websites made articles out of that part of it. So that was confusing. In Deadline's Joker Harley story, they stated that project had replaced Sirens, and that got changed to not say that, but a few other websites picked up that part of the story too. And then on that same day, the tracking board came out with an article that said the same thing, that it's RIP Gotham City Sirens. It's, this movie replaces it. And that article didn't state any other articles as its source. It didn't say that this is from Deadline or something. It seemed as if its own source. That's all we can assume based on the way that article was written. So other websites like Joe Blow picked up the same story days later and said, yep, okay, yeah, that's confirmed. Gotham City Sirens isn't happening. And then a day or whatever later after that, there's a Forbes article that says it's super confirmed that Gotham City Sirens is still on. So it's just a larger problem with the way this news is breaking and everything, and the way that, if the trades can't even get on the same page about this stuff, then it shows how much is going on from the studio side.
I think the Reeves Batman thing was a little bit of a oops, I probably shouldn't have said that now thing, to be honest with you. And they probably got some flack from the studio and pulled it back because it's something that would affects the buzz for Justice League. We talked about it earlier.
A Sigmund slip?
Yes. So any other last call? This is it. We're going to wrap this joker up. We're no pun intended. We're at our hour mark, a little bit over. Justin, anything?
No, I hope they figure it out, and I hope Warner Brothers kind of learned from this week on how to release information and how to prep the talent involved on, hey, what they should and shouldn't say.
Okay. All right. Rick, anything? Get a last chance for a hot take on anything. Go. Except Star Wars.
I just want all this to be over. Yeah. I'm ready for it to be over. I just want 2.0, Batman on Film 2.0, and DCEU 2.0 to start taking its effect in next year. I hate to say this, guys. I don't mean to sound Debbie Downer, but I'm just ready for Justice League to come and go. And by the off chance I get surprised and I love it, that's just a wonderful cherry on top. But at this point, I'm just ready for it to I'm just ready to churn the page.
Okay.
And I'm really ready for Star Wars The Last Jedi. Comes out December 15th. Thank you.
It only has 12 wipes, though.
You know what?
It only has Ryan Johnson went on Twitter and said it only has 12 swipes, whatever. Transitions. Rogue One should have had those.
I will say, and I am more excited for The Last Jedi than I am Justice League.
I should not be more excited for Luke than I am Batman.
And
it makes me sad.
I am not a hardcore Star Wars fan. I'm just not, but I enjoy the movies, but whatever. So, all right, let's plug. Justin, plug what you got, and you may want to also mention that, because you have a new job at Batman on Film. You were the keeper of Instagram, so you may want to mention that too.
Yeah, I was going to bring it up. Yeah.
Okay.
So so if you're on Instagram, please head over to Batman on Film. That's what it's called, Batman on Film on Instagram, and we just launched it yesterday, and we're going to try to. Me and Ryan, because Ryan's really good at thinking about ooh, we should do this, and so we're gonna kind of develop just a fun, maybe at least 3 things a week, and some stuff about shows and some other fun stuff. So if you want to follow us over there, we're actually gonna try to figure out some type of a contest too. So follow us there, and get in contact with us and chat at us, and we'll try to answer. And it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be another way you can keep in contact and connected with Batman on Film. And I'm going to save this for Ryan because Ryan had the biggest epiphany ever yesterday. He's all, dude, yeah, you did. If you don't remember it, then I'll bring it up. But anyways, so there's that. And then, please follow me on Twitter at @J_Rocka. And then if you'd love to hear my voice more, I'm on the Let's Go Cast and the Let's Go Comic Show. Check those out at letsgocast.com. And we talked about this movie stuff too, and it was even more confusing because Matt was like, what is going on? He's just not he just doesn't have all the understandings of stuff. Yeah. And so it was really funny, and we were tired. So, yeah. But there you go.
Okay. And we're working behind the scenes, Justin, and even Ryan too, as well. We're working on BOF 2.0. So we're going to be ready for January 1st, right, guys? Yes. You think we'll be ready to go? Okay.
Yes.
All right, good. All right, Ryan, go ahead, sir.
Follow me on Twitter at @SMB_Ryan. And if you follow me and notice that I've blocked you, you deserved it. Because I've got 532 blocked accounts right now because of all this junk.
Good for you. Awesome.
I can't do it. I'm with you, man. I love talking about this stuff. I love it. All I try to do is talk about it in a nice constructive manner, ask questions when they need to be asked, and try to be respectful. And boy, I blocked probably 300 people this week because I can't do it.
Oh, wow.
I can't do it.
It's not worth it. It's not worth the aggravation. And these people are very disturbing.
Yeah.
And
so anytime, and that's just kind of a practice I've had to take. If anybody says anything bad about BOF.
All right. What you got, Rick?
All right, so follow me on Twitter at ShewRick, ShewRick, please. It's getting pretty interesting over there on Twitter. Love it. Okay, so also, I have a really cool video. I have a buddy, Jason Croft. He's an amazing marketeer, I guess that's a real word, and he helps entrepreneurs succeed in business. He also has this new YouTube show where he's interviewing CEOs, and it's real cool, and he drives around in the car very much like a Jerry Seinfeld Coffee with Comedians thing. He invited me on to talk restaurants, and you can find it on the Jason Croft, Croft show. Find it on YouTube. I was his guest a couple weeks ago. It went live. I speak for about 45 minutes, so if you don't hear me talk about restaurants for 45 minutes, don't listen, but it's about consulting, how to make your restaurant or bar more successful, and I'm real proud of it. I think it turned out really nicely, and just wanted to give that a quick plug.
Do you talk about Star Wars at all?
Actually, I don't talk about Star Wars, but I do actually talk about Batman on Film.
Oh, hey, there you go.
Yeah, at the very end, I plug Batman on Film, and I talk about our podcast and everything.
Okay, I want to say this before we head out real quick. This was, it was a tough week for me personally, and there's times that I go, man, maybe sometimes it's just not worth it. The aggravation, the nonsense, the drama that comes with this sometimes. But thanks to all three of you, Rick, Justin called me. I was on the football field, called him back. Hey, man, yeah, I was in between drills, and we had a little break because it was hot. So y'all talked me off the ledge, made me feel a lot better about everything, and Batman on Film. Batman on Film wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you three. So thanks again. And then John Beerley sent me a super nice email, and that made me happy too, and made me feel good. So
yeah, he's a class. Nice.
Thanks to him as well. So anyway, thanks to you three. I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
And listen, and I love you too. You're a very dear friend, and thank you as well for all this. We are here for you. This is what we're passionate about, and Batman on Film's always been awesome. The people that were involved in it before are awesome. We're doing something a little different now, and we all love what we're doing. We're proud of it, and we're just moving forward, man. It's only going to get better.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Batman on Film 2.0, and Rick and I talked this week on the phone. I got to get Rick in front of the camera doing stuff for the new thing. So that's something we're gonna work on that, right, Rick? That's something you.
Yeah, I'm not great at a lot of things, but I'm just really good on camera, and because I have a lot of training with it, doing not just necessarily acting, but I used to do a lot of corporate industrials as an actor, and that's kind of a different skill set. And I'm savvy on camera, and I think I could do some really cool stuff that people would enjoy for Batman on Film. And so that's something we should really look at. And hopefully it turns out good and people enjoy it like I think they probably will. So we'll see.
Okay. Yeah. All right, guys. All right, so for Ryan, Justin, and Rick, I am Bill. Announcer Rachel will take us on out, and we'll catch you next time.
Hey now! You've been listening to the Batman on Film podcast, a proud member and the sponsor of the Batman Podcast Network, BatmanPodcastNetwork.com. You can listen to the BOF podcast on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, TuneIn, and wherever good podcasts like this one can be found. Want to advertise on the BOF podcast? Go to advertisecast.com/the Batman on Film Con podcast. Follow Jett on Twitter at Batman on Film and on BOF's Facebook fan page at facebook.com/Jett.BatmanOnFilm. Email Jett via Jett@batman-on-film.com. Follow Rick on Twitter at ShewRick and on Facebook at facebook.com/BOF-Shew. For Jett, Rick, Justin, and Ryan, I'm announcer Rachel. Thanks for listening.